What the?
Why, Nathan? It must have been the airplanes that got him.
No, man. It was Banter that killed the beast.
So, Nathan.
Yes, Brenton.
Here we are again. Another day, another episode.
Here we are. Well, I feel like we never leave this room that we record in. It's just like...
No, I know.
It's like Saw, but instead of cutting off your body parts, it's just make another episode. Like
you never allow me to leave this room, so that's kind of,
No, I mean, you're revealing the secrets of the podcast, Brenton. It's like,
oh, okay.
We use the podcast as a scapegoat just for prison.
Sorry, I ruined the fun. Let's talk.
Yes.
I think it's time to talk about, okay, this is going to be an interesting topic, I feel. I want to talk about movie franchises that are so bad that they're kind of good.
Oh, great topic, Brenton. You're bringing your A game today. I love it.
So, and the reason I actually brought this up, and what's funny is the reference you just made was perfect. Because... I was watching, for some fucked up reason... Well, actually, no, it's not for a fucked up reason. I was watching a critique of the Saw films. And I then started watching... Because I've never watched a Saw film in full. And then I started watching just, like, the scenes of, like, the traps from all these movies. And, you know... And it kind of got me thinking, like... This is, like, utter trash. But I'm sitting here watching this shit, like, in my spare time.
Yeah.
So do you have any, like, franchises that have, like, maybe continued on a bit too long or whatever, and, like, you just, like, but you still just watch it? It's like, it can be a TV show as well. Like, it's like those guilty pleasures that you just keep coming back from.
TV's guilty of it all the time. I've got two movie franchises that stick out like a sore thumb. One is Pirates, and the second is Transformers. Because, like... Because you know, we both grew up. We were that age where we were kids when both those franchises launched, and like I love those pirate films. They're great. You and I quote them to death in our private lives, and they're so good. But I remember when the fifth one came out. I saw it with my girlfriend at the time. I remember watching it, just thinking like, I'm so done with this. Like, it's just so long and so boring. And Johnny Depp, by that point, his kind of antics really became well known. So
yeah, right.
Have you seen Dead Men Tell No Tales?
I still haven't seen it. Yeah,
God,
I've had no interest to see it, and I actually took it off your advice not to see it because I love that first film, and I can sit and watch the next two. The fourth one I can even sit and watch, but I just don't want to ruin it, and I just don't want to like sit there and hate myself while watching a film.
It was, I remember just sitting there with my girlfriend and I heard somewhere there was a post-credit scene and in the post-credits like a villain comes back that we haven't seen in a while and I got very excited, but I realized out of the whole movie it was only the post-credit scene that I loved, so I'm like, it's time for this to die. And then I heard that they're rebooting it with the Deadpool writers, so I'm like, great, this is exactly what they need to do.
Exactly.
Transformers is an interesting franchise because it's for some reason it's like the one franchise that my father and I both watch. Like out of everything, like I don't know why, but it's like a weird bonding thing with my dad. Like we.
So just for some context, I've seen the ones that Shia LaBeouf is in, the first three.
Oh, fantastic!
I've seen the first three. Yeah,
and they're probably the best.
I remember watching the first film though, and I think I was in year 5, so I would have been 11, I think. And I remember having a good time, like enjoying it, and like watching that film again now, you can see all the issues and whatnot. I remember being young and thinking like, this is all right. This is a good time.
When you're a kid, you don't care. You're just like, here's some big. Well, that's the thing. Dad and I, every time a new Transformer would come out, we would see the trailer, and I remember we'd walk into the cinema and we'd both say to each other every time one would come out, we're saying, now remember, Dad, we're not here for plot. And Dad would be like, Nath, we're not here for story. And we both say, we're here to see giant robots kick the shit out of each other. and we'd both walk to our little row and sit down and we'd just put on the 3D glasses and just watch giant robots fight each other. And it was great. And I think those films have a lot of issues, but I always walked in forgiving them because I never wanted a story. I just wanted to see 2 hours of just giant robot porn. Just they're all transforming about, and Bumblebee's like, "What's going on?" And Optimus Prime is like, "This is what's going on." He just shoots a gun, and I loved him. But then same thing with Pirates. The 5th installment, The Last Night, was such a step down from the rest of them because I think it was made by Michael Bay, knew it was his last one, and so the films are normally incoherent, but this one's like proper incoherent. There's a scene with Anthony Hopkins where he just tells Mark Wahlberg he's the greatest human that ever lived, and Mark Wahlberg kind of like shivs him off for saying that. Like, it's so terrible. Oh, it's so bad. But then again, so it ended, and then the film Bumblebee came out, which was quite good. So I'm like, well, maybe they are going to continue this. So who knows? Have you got any?
I just want to continue on this Transformers section, and I just wanted to say, obviously, when I watched the second one, even though I was young, I was aware that was kind of a piece of shit film. But like,
oh yeah, well, you know when you see a robot's balls dangling, that's a pretty big shit film.
Yeah. But I think when you see Shia LaBeouf like acting like a seizure of like having like God. Alien information in his brain in the middle of a class, if you love film and you love performance. Watch Shia LaBeouf's performance in what's it called? The second one.
It's called Revenge of the Fallen, I think.
That's it, Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah. Watch that shit.
It's so good. It's so
marvel.
Good. Like
it's in the first like 20 minutes of the film. Like just watch those scenes and marvel at how fucking like atrocious but hilarious it is.
What do you reckon Shia LaBeouf is better in, Indiana Jones or that?
That for sure. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
Oh, he's so good. You don't get blockbusters today. Just like it's like Eddie Redmayne. He just went for it, and you're just like, this doesn't work, but I'm so glad you did this. Like, you're glad it's a thing that's out there.
Those performances are always just the bomb, and it's always by actors that have like. They think they've got such an artistic bone in their body, like all these artistic bones in their body, and they they do. I'm not saying that they're horrible or they intentionally go out to be horrible, but it's like nothing can harm them, and they're just doing this performance that hasn't been either well thought out or even like just captured properly what they're doing, like and like how big they're doing it, and so you just get this shit that is just.
It's beautiful.
I mean, it's just incredibly like stunning. Like
they may get nominated for Razzies instead of Oscars, but the fans. I remember when Shia didn't come back, people were up in arms because they're like, "No, Shia LaBeouf."
I was up in arms. I was like, I don't want to go watch these movies. I need Shia there. Like,
and Mark Wahlberg is even shittier. Like when he comes in, like his whole shtick is that he's an inventor, and he says the line, "I'm an inventor," like 12 times in the movie, and it's so funny. And every time he says it, he does more and more dumb shit, so you just believe him less. I like to think that the fourth Transformers film is just him in a hospital having an hallucination. Like,
does he say it like classic Mark Wahlberg? Like, I don't know, I can't really do an impersonation, but it's like that. I'm an inventor. Like.
Yeah,
that really high like inflection.
It's like he's been pulled off the set of The Departed, and he's still in character, but for some reason he's now in the Transformers franchise, and it's fantastic.
That's so funny. Yeah.
So the lesson is with these long franchises that if you're not going to end them, just spice them up with some Mark Wahlberg. That's what they should have done with Pirates. Just spice them up with some Mark Wahlberg. Sure. They're on a pirate ship, and he's like, "Oi, fuck you! I'm Mark Wahlberg from Boston." It's like, get the fuck out of this pirate ship. But Davy Jones, get out, Davy Jones.
Do you feel dead?
Want to taste my gun, son? Welcome
to Classic Movie Banter. That
Classic
podcast
Movie Banter,
where Brenton and Nathan we review films that are 20 years or older that makes them classics. And we tell them, we tell you guys whether they are
we tell it as it is
time or not. Yeah, we give our honest opinions, and
we're like the Boston Globe of podcasts. We just break the truth.
Yeah, that's us.
It's a miracle we haven't won a Pulitzer Prize, considering how many game-making things we've said.
Especially given that like whilst we review classic movies, we throw in some banter in there for good measure, which makes our the name of this podcast, funnily enough, which is Classic Movie Banter. Hey!
Well done, Brenton. Look at that. Everyone's on board this ship. Toot toot, all aboard to Skull Island, I say.
Welcome to episode 52.
Yeah, 52.
In which we're traveling to Skull Island to meet a certain gorilla friend, as they say.
Yeah,
and not a silverback.
Friend. That'd be great. Just in the movie, like the chick's like, "Oh, where are we going?" And the captain's like, "To meet a gorilla friend," and she's like, "Okay."
Sure.
Sure, if as long as I get paid. So, it's an exciting time to be alive, Brenton. Endgame is sweeping, Thrones is all Thrones, and Godzilla 2 is about to come out. And what better time to celebrate the release of Godzilla 2 King of Monsters than look at an iconic film that may have inspired Godzilla 2 King of Monsters? It's King Kong.
Hey, King Kong, but not the Peter Jackson remake of King Kong. We're talking the OG fucking stop motion animated.
We're going way back.
We're going back
to the oldest film we've reviewed. I remember in our first episode ever, I mentioned King Kong as like one of those greats. So it's about damn time, nearly a year in, that we finally addressed what that is King Kong, Brenton.
Well, let's get into it. Nathan, do you have a question for me?
I do. What's your favourite colour?
Well, probably green.
Really? Okay. Yeah, green's a popular one. Mine personally is orange, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice, yeah.
But also, can you pitch me King Kong?
Yeah, sure. So basically, there's this director dude, and he wants to make something that no one's ever seen before, a picture that nobody's ever seen before. And
take him to the pictures, boys.
And so he needs to make a movie, but alas, he's lost his leading lady. So he needs someone that can fit into a fucking dress to replace her. And he just sees someone that he thinks is skinny enough that's probably starving on the street. And he goes, yo, you want to be in my movie?
You want to be in the pictures?
And she's like, whoa, what kind of pictures are we talking about, you fucking creep? And then he's like, oh, I'm talking about real motion pictures, in which I'm going to an island. She's like, all right, that still sounds creepy as fuck, but I'll go along anyway. So then she's on the boat, and we're all heading to an island that no one knows where the fuck it is or where the fuck they're going. They're just trusting this director's good name. And then they realize they might have gotten themselves into a bit of deep water when, he tells a story about a rhinoceros and why he shoots his own pictures, and they all went, that's a bit fucked up. Anyways, but they continue along. And sure enough, they start realizing that this might be a scary movie that he's shooting, and he needs something scary. So they end up at this island where they see a bunch of native people doing some things that would happen in 1933. Yes, that we will discuss later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, they end up abducting our leading lady and sacrificing her to Kong, who is a giant gorilla, a giant stop-motion animated gorilla
from 1933.
The team, the director and his team of sailors from the ship need to go save the leading lady, and so they continue on to this island, and they come across many other different an assortment of other creatures that they need to wade their way through to rescue her. And it may or may not end up with a huge confrontation on top of the Empire State Building back in New York. That's King Kong, folks.
Wow. That's probably more of a recap than a pitch, if anything. That's almost the whole movie.
I feel like I need to recap it because it sounds fucking stupid when you just
it is so
say,
stupid. You know what really surprised me about this movie is that I thought this was adapted off a popular children's book or something like that. I always thought this was adapted, and then researching this movie, I'm like, no. The director came up with this idea, and I'm like, oh, okay. And this stupid ass premise, plot, and potentially movie has become one of the most iconic landmarks of cinema.
It has.
And Brenton, what are your thoughts on 1933's King Kong?
You know how I was saying about failed franchises that are still enthralling,
still kicking about, yeah. that horse is still being kicked.
This is one of those. I can watch this and appreciate why it was such a landmark, but at the same time, it's just so funny.
Oh my God,
so hilarious that it's
so funny. I haven't laughed like this, and I know we just laughed at Pokemon, but I'm laughing even more at this. This is I love this movie, Brenton. I love watching this so much. I had a fun time with it. I had a really fun time with this one.
I did too. Now, my only issue with this film is there are some pacing issues. I'll get that straight off the back. That's my only real critique. I think there's obviously it takes a while to get going for us to see the creature as it were and to get into the swing of things.
Although I do think it is pretty tight at points.
But, there's still some things going on in those scenes that are, worth watching. There's some... I would say that the pacing's the only real criticism, and I think that's just the only thing that's a staple of the time.
Yeah.
But gosh, when I say this is funny, what I'm referring to is not only some of the one-liners and also just the dialogue in the film, but mainly the creature and the creature effects and the creature expressions are just hilarious.
Oh my God,
hilarious.
It's from 1933, so it's from 1933. So you got to go in with not just a grain of salt, but a whole box of salt. You got to know that this this film had groundbreaking special effects, but this film is nearly a century old. It's like what, 93? We're in 19 now, so it's like 80 plus years old. So like this film happened before most films came out. It was like as early as you can get. And so going in, it's stop motion. So it's not even like people in a monkey suit. It's like it's 1933 stop motion. And watching this, even though it's terrible, you still kind of love it. And even though the monsters are all fake, I still felt tension when I was watching it.
Really?
I did. Because I think a really big surprising thing about this film for me was that it's really brutal. Like, this film is dark. Like, there's some visceral deaths in this movie.
Yeah, there are. There's some stomping. There's
my god! Like because I've seen Peter Jackson's King Kong. I've seen the new King Kong from 2017. I've seen a handful of King Kongs, and out of all of them, this is the most deadly. I think.
Really, I would say Peter Jackson's is way more deadly than this.
I don't know. I think because. I mean, Peter Jackson's was deadly, but I feel like just in this one, like, because it's from 1933, and like, it's just so unapologetic the way the ape kills people. Like, you know what I mean?
There's a great scene that doesn't actually involve the ape. It involves one of the other creatures on the island that I think has possibly the best death in the film.
It's so good. Like,
it's wonderful.
I'm trying to imagine what a 1933 audience would have reacted to this, because like this would have been outstanding. Imagine like this movie is older than like Superman and Batman, like the invention of these characters, and like imagine being in an audience like at this time and seeing like a giant gorilla just beat the shit out of these huge monsters, and just like and see people viscerally eaten alive by this gorilla. Like, even today, I was just in awe of what this film was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally.
Yeah. And
totally
like the production value alone is outstanding. Like when they go to the island, like the sets, like the fort that they go to is like
that is an incredible set, incredible production design. Like,
it's amazing,
stunning stuff.
And in the same way that in the way we look at the Bond films, almost you look at this, you watch this movie, and it's old, and it's pretty clunky, and it's a little bit worn for weather, but just it's like going to a museum and you're going wow, and like. I don't know. I found myself invested in the story. I really cared about these characters.
That's great.
You sound like you don't.
I will say as well.
Good for you.
In regards to the production design, I'll also add that I think that the way I think it's very intelligent, like knowing that at the time what they had access to, like in terms of technology, and like the ingenuity of the filmmakers to do this is pretty incredible.
It is incredible.
Like to have especially to have humans interacting with these creatures as well. I think that's the most incredible thing.
Even though it looks very bad today. Like
no, but it's still going wow. Like that's
you look at it wow.
What they were
but
doing.
in the same way that we shit on the ski scenes that look bad, we can't be forgiving towards this movie. Like
no,
like
no, gosh,
God,
no.
Like
no. I'll be the first to state that there is some genuine moments of hilarity that happen in this film that rival skiing scenes, if not more so.
Oh yeah,
there are some facial expressions that come from that ape that just ruin any moment of tension for me. That are just like absolute hilarity.
It looks nothing like a fucking monkey as well, but we'll get into it. There were some great effects in this movie, though. I thought, like especially the iconic scene. Is that a spoiler? The Empire State scene? It's what everyone knows. Like, it can't be a spoiler, surely.
No, it's not. I don't think so.
No,
yeah.
Everyone knows this movie when King Kong climbs the Empire State Building, and that whole sequence where the planes are attacking him. Like, I think that holds up so well. I don't apart from the actual ape itself, I wouldn't change any of it today.
I would change a couple things, but we can talk about that
okay.
later. Yeah.
Difference of opinion, but no, I was so invested. Some downs, the film didn't age well. I think especially in its sexism and its racism.
Yes.
It is extremely racist. It is extremely sexist, and it is kind of hard in the 2019 lens to overcome that.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially with its protagonist, because I think the protagonist is the leading lady, and you really feel empathy for her. And I think she does a really good job. Ray, I think her name is Ray, and like she does a great job, but she's just so downtrodden by everyone.
Yeah, totally.
I just felt so sorry for her. Like there's so many points where they're like, if you can't let her on this ship, she's a woman. And then they're like, oh, what's this woman gonna do on this ship? And like, I get it was 1933, so sexism was a lot worse than what it is today. But even then, she's just like, can you stop being mean? And they're like, all right, why don't you stop being a woman? Like,
yeah, it's just like, oh, great. another 20 minutes of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't really go into fruition. And there's a kind of a subplot with that really kind of turns 180 and you're like, okay, I guess. But then also with the locals who live on that island, Brenton.
It's funny that you said that like there was no like gorilla suits in this film, but like there are.
There were. Oh man, and like I can kind of see what they were going for at the time because it's probably not a spoiler. The locals wear gorilla suits because they're praising King Kong, and I can kind of see where the genesis of that was because like these local people worship God. That's gods worship King Kong. That's why they've been alive all this time. So they probably would make monkey suits, and hey, we're respecting you. But it's still so racist because I don't have to go further than that.
It's also like the only thing that could tame the beast's heart was like a white woman.
Yeah, and the same way that the tribe's leader is like, I'll trade 6 of my girls for your one blonde girl. I'm like, mate, like, it's pretty racist at points, and it sucks, and you can't overcome that obviously in the same way Tiffany's can't overcome Buddy Mickey Rooney, but like, despite that, it doesn't stop me from taking a step back and loving the whole film.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like it sucks that it's there, and they were smart in the new Kong films to very much avoid that because obviously in this century that very much doesn't go. But I can still see why for some people the sexism and racism would 100% be an issue watching this movie.
Let's talk about its attempt to entwine thematic elements into the film with its constant repetition of mentioning fucking Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my god. I was just waiting for Gaston just to jump out of the bushes, like, for fuck's sake. Like, you want to play a drinking game with this movie, every time they say the words beauty or beast, have a fucking shot.
Insane.
You'll be drunk by the time it's done.
Gosh. Yeah.
And, like, we get it. Like, the first time, like, they said on the ship, you're like, okay, yeah, it is like a Beauty and the Beast thing. And there's a very iconic line at the end of the movie that everyone must know that involves Beauty and Beast. But like, every bloody time they mention it, you're just like, shut up, we get the metaphor.
Yeah.
Do you reckon maybe they did that in 1933 because people just used to like waltz in and out of the cinema? So just in case anyone just rocked up late or had to leave early, they just wanted to get as many Beauty and the Beast references in.
It's not a bad hypothesis, as they say. Like, I think it's probably, I think it's a good bet that it was like to keep people, but also like maybe because like the monster effects is like so incredible that people are coming for the spectacle to remind them of like the plot and like what they're actually there for, if that makes sense as well.
Yeah. I thought they're doing their own marketing in the movie. It's like, you're here to see Beauty and the Beast, and it's like, here's which one's Beauty and which one's the Beast, you decide. Like,
I mean, yeah, who knows, but yeah.
Do you wish this film crossed over with the actual Beauty and the Beast?
No.
like for some reason, like Belle just like after Beauty and the Beast like rocks up like on a honeymoon with the Beast to Skull Island.
It's a tantalizing thought, but no, thank you. No, thank you.
No. Oh, what a shame. But yeah, I don't know.
Dude, I feel like I want to rip the Band-Aid off and just jump into some spoilers right now.
Well, how are you going to rate this,
dude?
Man?
I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Like, despite all of its issues, like, I had a grand time watching it, and like, at the end of the day, that's what we kind of we say in our reviews, whether this not only just holds up, but also like if it's worth a watch on a Thursday night or whatever with your mates and to have a good time watching a film. Yeah, I think this is worth a watch. I think like you'll get a kick out of it.
I 100% agree. I was watching this movie having a great time, and I think that's like the bare like criteria that you have to address when we rate these movies. Are we having a great time with this film? And yeah, we did. Like I was like you know what it is going in. It's from 1933. Of course the effects are going to be bad. Of course, there's going to have all these outdated things. But despite that, like, I just think it's so well presented. And
exactly,
it's a fun time. And like, I think for a Thursday night, if you're going to have a bunch of mates around, I recommend you should all just sit around a couch and just have a conversation. And every now and then dip into King Kong as it's playing. And you're like, oh, now this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Because even if you haven't seen this movie, you know the story. Like, you know the broad strokes. You're not going to be surprised by this movie. And only stop the conversation when you see the fight scenes, because the fight scenes alone are worth the price of admission.
Exactly, yeah.
So thumbs up from both of us.
Yeah, hey, for a monster movie, who knew, right?
Who would have thought? So...
Spoilers! Spoiling King Kong, that movie King Kong, let's spoil that shit.
King Kong dies.
All right.
Spoiler time.
Yeah, King Kong does die.
But yeah, where should we start with this movie?
Let's talk about, the main thing I want to talk about is King Kong himself. I want to talk about...
Oh my god, this gorilla.
I want to talk about those facial expressions and how...
Oh my god. Actually, can we just jump into what steals this movie?
Sure. Let's talk about it.
Because if we're going to be talking about facial expressions, like, we should be talking about this picture that I screenshotted from the film.
What stills this movie? If you guys don't know, this is the section of the show where either myself or Nathan or both of us select a screen grab from the film at some point, and we chat about it, and we think it's something interesting to chat about or something that's hilarious to talk about. Usually it's the fun, more humorous elements of the film, but today Nathan's chosen this image. Would you care to explain, Nathan?
Yeah, I go. You want me to explain?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. So you know they've snatched the blonde lady. Does she have a name in this film? I can't remember.
She does. I can't remember though, which says a lot. Unfortunately.
Yeah. But anyway, so the woman's been put on this like Jesus cross altar kind of thing, and they were all waiting for King Kong to rock up, and he finally rocks up, and okay, and he tears down these trees. Despite the fact this is a regular sacrifice spot, for some reason he still needs to clear the land. So he knocks down some trees, and he walks up to this girl, and she's screaming. She's like, "Ah, what a beast!" And you see King Kong. He doesn't look very good, but then the camera obnoxiously decides to think, you know what? This is the best special effect of all history. Let's zoom in even further, and it goes this extreme close up of Kong's face as he looks at the girl for the first time. I don't know how to describe his expression, Brenton. How would you describe it?
Giddy?
It's like a kid who's just been given like a box of Lindt chocolates on Christmas. Like, he's got these human eyes and this fake ass face, and he's just having the wildest grin with these big old buck teeth. And it's fantastic.
It's pretty amazing, I've got to say. Like, the fact that the teeth are all kind of like misshapen too, like he's got those huge canines, and then there's just a flat line on the bottom row of teeth as well. Like they're just in this straight flat line, and it creates this expression like that is just so stupid.
It's so
but hilarious at the same time. It's like
it's so funny.
If I could ever, the sound of it is that's kind of what we get from this.
I love that so much, and like. The whole film, Kong is pulling the stupidest faces I've ever seen in cinema. I thought Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady pulled stupid faces. She ain't got nothing on
She's got nothing on King Kong. King Kong ain't got nothing on me. And
it's true.
It's terrible.
I think that's my favorite face when you first see him pull that expression, but he just looks so happy or so confused. Like, I don't know why they decided to make his face so expressive, but it just makes the film better, in my opinion.
10 times better. Look, what's bad? What I think is bad is that like in this final climactic scene, which I want to talk about as well, but like when he's on top of that Empire State and he's defending himself from the helicopters, and the thing that's ruining that moment for me is just those facial expressions of as he's trying to it's hilarious. And then but the thing that really wrecks that moment for me is that like King Kong's, he's been shot up, he's having a bad time, and he puts her down and he looks at her one last time, and he gets the final shot and he pulls that stupid expression as he falls off the edge of the Empire State. And then we go to an image like a model shot of the Empire State of what I think is like, I'm not sure what the animation style is at this point, but it looks like it's almost like a paper animation, like they've done it, like they've drawn it or something. And the way that King Kong like smacks down on each level of the Empire State as he falls,
that's the best thing. He doesn't just like fall to the floor. He doesn't fall like 80 stories. Like he knocks every level as he falls down.
It is so
it's so
funny.
good.
Like it just kind of ruins the tension of the moment because it's like boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, like, and it's probably realistic, but but the way it's animated just makes it look so stupid. Yeah,
it's great. I loved it. I love that it was in the movie. I wouldn't change it for this film. Like, here's the thing with this movie. Like, it's so brutal with its deaths, and like, I couldn't tell if I loved King Kong or not. Like, I didn't empathize with him at all. Like, everyone's supposed to fall in love with King Kong in this movie, but I just didn't. Like, did you love him?
I have never fallen in love with King Kong in any adaptation of these films. Like, I don't get it. I've never, like, liked this, like, let's call it a character in like any adaptation, and
And
like,
he is
I
technically
just
a
don't,
character, yes.
I just don't get the like sympathy for like, okay, sure. So like this gorilla, he has a connection with this girl, this one girl. It's like the only human or thing or creature he's ever had a connection to, and that he dare say loves. And she, you know, she kind of warms to him and is like, oh, like, you know, what a nice gorilla that saved me from a T-Rex. Oh, it's great. Oh, love, like, what a great little guy.
What a good
and
guy,
it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, like, sure, like, maybe, you know, she's a bit sad when it fucking falls off the Empire State. But guess what, dude? That gorilla's fucking killed hundreds of other people and things.
Well, here's
like,
the thing. I don't know if she does love him that much in the movie. Like, she kind of... I feel like at the end she feels more relieved to be saved than, like...
I think she's relieved, but at the same time, like, I think there's a gratitude for saving her ass from a T-Rex, you know what I mean?
That is true. Yeah, I suppose... Yeah, he is a big fan of that. But, like, also, he presumably have done this for other women that has been sacrificed to him. So I don't feel like she's that special snowflake that he loves.
I think that she... what I took away from it was that all the other women that he just, like, eats. Like, he'll just eat.
Or maybe he does just eat them. He's like, not this one. Which also, by the way, is racist if we talk about King Kong's
point. That's
preferential in women.
That's what I think. Like, it's like this one girl that's, like, changed his whole outlook on... You know, like, and it's this white woman in this white dress, you know, like, I feel like that's what it's insinuating, that he, like, eats the other ones, and then, like, hey, so which is, again...
There's something very uncomfortable, like, embedded in that. Speaking of romance, I want to talk about this subplot that exists between this leading lady and, like, one of the sailors, who, like...
Jack, I think his name is, actually.
Yeah.
Which is ironic.
Yeah, exactly. Considering I'm bloody Jack Black, but, like, yeah, I feel like... Because he starts off really sexist towards her. He's like, "What's this woman doing on this ship? Come on, boys!" It's like, "What's all this about?" And he openly says to her, "I don't like you." But then, like, the next scene, he's like falling for her, and they're giving a big smooch. And I'm like, is this what flirting was back in 1933?
Okay, I think we've come a long way as men in terms of the wooing department and what, you know, what it is to woo someone. Like, I feel like this wouldn't fly today, the shit he pulls, like, in this, you know, in this flirtation kind of thing. You know, you don't say to someone, I fucking hate women, and then expect them to, like, fall all over you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I despise women and think they shouldn't be doing anything. And it's like, today I just don't think that would fly. And so obviously watching that, you're kind of like, what? What?
Excuse me? And yeah, she, it really, like, doesn't hold up that part of it.
No. And it's like, what, and you enjoy that? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Moving on.
I mean, she does some very interesting things in this movie. I love the scene where she's doing, like, the screen tests on the boat.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I can't tell if it's either the actress doing bad acting or if it's just her character being a bad actor. When the director's like, now you've seen a monster and you're screaming. Like,
it's some very bad acting.
It's pretty
like,
bad.
And again, we don't know if it's intentional or not. I was very confused whether it was intentional or not. I will just say it was fucking terrible.
But either way, I was laughing at it. I was like, this is fantastic. Like,
I was laughing as well as those three sailors that are like have climbed up that like one post, and they're all just hanging out being creepy as hell, and you're just
it's like watching
what?
high school boys look through like the hole in like a girl's change room or something like that. It's like,
and they're all like, "Oh, this is a good time." Like, "Oh, a bit weird, but bit
look at that
kinky."
woman.
And it's like, "Jeez," it's like, God, just why was that? Why is that there? And why are they in such a strange position?
That's exactly what it was. I wish we could do some commentary on top of this. It would have been so funny. Just it goes.
Oh,
like,
dude.
It has like it adds a scene to the movie where they're all sitting around a table going, "What? Did you check her out?"
I feel like there's something in the fact that one day we could do movie commentaries. Like, I feel like that. Like, I honestly feel like that could be our calling, like as a show.
Yeah,
like
just
to
saying
do that.
just the shit that these old characters would have probably.
Because when we watch films together, like we say some funny ass shit to each other, like, and it's pretty funny. So yeah,
we're just
who knows?
so hilarious. Like,
no, but it's like, you know, it's poking fun and having a good time. So I don't know, maybe one day.
Speaking of having a good time, do you love the way that King Kong ragdolls that bloody monster like in this cave?
Why is it there?
I don't know, but it's great. He just like pulls this thing like out of nowhere, and he just bloody slaps it around like it's like playtime, and he's a toddler. And the chick is like screaming as this is happening. If I was the victim and I watched him do that, because it's obvious by this point he's not going to harm her, but like I would just be like cheering. I'd be like, yeah,
yeah,
kill it.
That's my boy.
Oh, that's my Kong. Like, it's just a great moment. Yeah. Oh. I love also when there's a scene in the movie where her and her boyfriend escape King Kong and they jump off the cliff and you watch them fall down this cliff, but they come so close to like being murdered at those rocks when they fall it off.
I know. And it's kind of like, imagine if they'd hit them and then it was like the end credits.
They're just corpses floated and it's like, turns out it wasn't Beauty that killed the beast, it was the bloody rocks. It was the 100 feet like drop. Oh,
that's
great.
A long way to fall too. We just won't think about that. Just don't question it. Just enjoy the movie.
Just enjoy the movie. I want to talk now that we're near the end, I want to talk about how this film ends and how we go to New York and I love when we meet the audience to see King Kong. There's like this one woman who's like, do you know what this show is? And he's like, yeah, it's a giant ape. And she's like, and then she says the line, I hear it's a gorilla. Gee, haven't we got enough of them in New York?
I heard that line and I was just like,
it's great. It's so good. And what idiots. Like, they come to this show. I love the one old woman who's like, this isn't a picture. I wanted when the curtains open and it revealed King Kong for that one old lady just to stand up and be like, this isn't a movie. This is a gorilla.
This is a literal gorilla. I want my money back.
She just storms out of the theater. Like, oh, it's great though. I love it when he finally breaks free of those chains, and all the audience like fuck, and they're all just running about, and like Kong just like chews guys on the streets, and he's just, you could almost say he's going ape shit.
Almost, you could almost say that. Some would say that. Good one, Nathan.
I love
Good
it.
one.
Although I love how brutal it is because you see him climb this building, and I thought it was going to be the Empire State Building, but it turns out just be this random building. And he like grabs this woman from like her sleeping bed and just like full on throws her out the window.
No.
and you think as this woman falls that maybe she'll be like caught in a flag or maybe people down below will catch her, but nope, she just dies. She just falls to her death.
She's dead. She was just chilling in her home and now
like
dead.
These fucking idiots. This film's so stupid because the couple, like the lady that Godzilla wants, their genius plan is to hide in an apartment close to the windows in the building that King Kong is climbing. Like what idiots?
Hey, they're not too bright, and but then we wouldn't get those great moments in this film. That's why they do it. They do it for us, the audience, Nathan.
Oh, it's so stupid. I love also when you see him climb the Empire State Building, and there's like a moment where he kind of waves at the camera. Did you notice this?
Yeah. When he just kind of like turns and is like,
and it's like a beautiful shot because it's like old New York and it's like beautifully framed and lit. But you just see Kong just waving about, and I'm like, good on you, buddy. Like, it's just so unbelievable. Like when they're at the top of the tower, like none of their hair is blowing from the wind, and you're just like,
I know.
You're just like, And I love the way it ends. Like, it's so iconic because you do get that famous line where it's like, it was beauty that killed the beast. And when I heard that, my first thought was like, no, mate, it was the bullets.
Look, I've never really got that line, or like I get like it's a smart line, but like again, like the thematic like elements of leading into it and just mentioning Beauty and the Beast all the time.
If they never mentioned it before, it would have worked.
But no, I think it should have had a mention of Beauty and the Beast, but it's rammed so much down your throat that you're like, oh great,
here we go, more bloody beasts
like oh
and beauties.
god,
Like,
and then it's over, and you're like, oh okay,
well,
But yeah, I mean, like that's Beauty and the Beast.
and that's
King
Beauty
Kong.
and the Beast. If you like this episode, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's something we should do. We should have like slowly segued into a review of Beauty and the Beast, and to see if anyone noticed.
Yeah.
Man, when Mrs. Potts rocked up, I was just waiting for her to get killed. Like,
oh gosh. Hey Nathan, I've got a question for you.
What is that?
How did they make this making movies? Yeah.
How did they make this?
King Kong,
Brenton,
the
how did they
movie.
make King Kong 1933?
Hey, I asked you the same question.
Okay.
You tell me.
Well then, I will tell you. So the way that they did that horrible green screen thing, it actually wasn't a green screen because it was 1933, but the way like you'd have like them in real life versus like a stop motion dinosaur in the background was that they invented this thing where they would expose part of the frame when they would shoot it. So they would like cut a bit out of the frame, so there'd be this hole, and then so in the live action they would do that, and then when they'd film the stop motion they would fill that hole with a second frame, and they'd put both reels together, and so they blend together to make the one frame. So that's how they did it when they had the creatures with these humans.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's quite literally how they made it.
Very smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marion C. Cooper's first vision for the film was of a giant ape on top of the world's tallest building fighting airplanes.
That was the director,
He
correct?
Yeah, he then worked backwards from there to develop the rest of the story. So started with that final scene and then just started working his way backwards.
And it kind of shows, because the
does
film's
show.
at its strongest at the end. So, like, it's kind of the opposite. It starts off bad and it gets progressively better as it goes.
Yeah, like, totally. Again, it's kind of like, because that climactic scene is probably the best scene in it. In terms of, and you can tell, like, that's the scene that has, like, is, like, the impetus to, like, do the whole story. But it's just funny that he just worked back from there, like, to the beginning.
And boy, does it show.
It does show.
Faye Ray, who plays the woman in this movie, she wrote in her autobiography that the director, when he first pitched her this movie, in the same way that we did, he told her that he planned her to star opposite, and I quote, the tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood. And she assumed she meant this guy called Clark Gable, who was, like, you know, the bloody Bradley Cooper of her time. But then he showed her a picture of King Kong climbing the Empire State Building. He was kind of nodding at her. And she's like, oh, okay. This is my leading man.
Oh, that's quite funny, actually.
But she had to go through shit when they made this movie. Like, there was a point where when she was in the fake tree watching that Kong versus T-Rex fight, she had to stay there for a consecutive 22 hours.
Fucking hell.
So she was like, could you imagine being in that tree for nearly a full day, like 22 hours non-stop? She said she was so sore, but she still did it.
Jeez. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Speaking of Faye Ray, when she died on August 8th, 2004, King Kong from 1933 was actually playing on a television in the emergency room.
Really?
And it was only noticed after she actually died that Ray's most famous film was being shown on the television at the time of her death.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's remarkable. Yeah, I read this thing as well when she died, that the Empire State Building like lowered its lights on her in honor of her.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Really?
Which was
that's cute.
I thought that was very, very kind of them. This is a story about the director. So the director, Cooper, when he lived in New York and actually lived as a kid, and he lived close to an elevated train, which kept him awake at night as it clattered across the tracks. And this was the inspiration for him when King Kong destroys the train.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Did that train scene remind you a little bit of Spider-Man 2?
A little bit. I think it might have had some inspiration from King Kong.
Absolutely.
Hey, do you know that King Kong's roar was a lion's roar and a tiger's roar combined, and then run backwards slowly?
Really? That's interesting. Yeah. You wouldn't tell watching the movie. Like, the roar's quite
good. No,
gosh,
no. Yeah, but I just thought that was interesting.
This is something I find very funny and racist. The movie opens with this old Arabian proverb. You know, there's something along the lines of, like, man was never meant to challenge an ape or something like that. And the old Arabian proverb was actually just written by the director. He just made it up.
Really?
Yeah.
And
he got away with it. Oh god.
Oh god. Willis H. O'Brien never liked the giant head bust of Kong, which he thought had limited dramatic possibilities.
I mean, I think he was onto something, Brenton. Like,
I think he had the right piece of advice there that no one listened. I could just imagine him just like, guys, like, I think this is pretty shit. And it was like, it's great.
This is the
awesome.
best picture ever.
There'll be this thing in a few years called a podcast, and there'll be these two dickhead Aussie blokes, and they'll be saying how bad it looks.
Yeah, this film from like 80 years ago, like around the invention of cinema. Like, I love it. I love this fact so much. So Faye Ray, she personally chose that her character would be blonde in this film. I thought it'd be and she chose her wig for the movie. And so I thought it'd be very important that, you know, this is a blonde girl, so it's very iconic. But I don't think she knew, Brenton, that this film was going to be made in black and white.
Really?
Yeah, because she chose this blonde wig. It's like, this character has to be blonde. It's like, the movie's in black and white. You can't tell. And she chose this wig. I'm like, oh, bless you, Faye Ray. You do you.
So this film, at the time of its release, was the biggest opening ever. And it grossed $90,000 in its opening weekend.
Crikey. That was 1933, $90,000. That could buy you Skull Island. Goodness.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it, but, you know, some would.
You know there's a real Skull Island, like, off the coast of Indonesia?
No, I had no idea, really.
Yeah. And it was named in honor of this movie because they found it after the movie came out. They thought, we should name it Skull Island, you know, as a little tribute.
Jeez.
Yeah. But the last fact I have, and this just encapsulates the film so much. It's about, so when the captain, his name apparently is Engelhorn, and he meets the chief of, the character's name is literally Native Chief. great. Anyway, so when they meet and like the guy's translating for him, which I'm like, okay, for some reason he knows this language, but whatever. Anyway, when they're speaking, they're quite literally speaking gibberish. Like, they've just made up words. The actors just made up words on the spot.
Really?
Yeah, that's just not a real language.
Jeez.
I'm like,
God,
I know. Because when I listen to it, I'm like, this doesn't sound like a language I've heard before. And then when I found that fact, I'm like, oh, 1933. Oh, you and your antics. Like,
last fact I have, which I thought was interesting and fitting. The title character King Kong does not appear until nearly 47 minutes into the picture.
oh my God, really? I mean, you can tell. It's like, it's like bloody Batman Begins. It's like, where the hell is Batman? You just want him to rock up.
I know, right?
What a movie. But hey, let's look at this film's poster. And
Sure,
oh boy, what a poster.
This is perhaps the greatest poster we've ever reviewed.
Like, by a mile. This is art. This is the theatrically released poster that they had at the time. This is the best poster I've ever seen in my life.
Me too. Like, I think this is something really special.
Oh my
something
God.
very classic, and I don't think you could improve it in any way.
I wouldn't touch.
I would absolutely love a poster of this to frame it and to put it up in my man cave. You know, that is cool.
This is it'll be right next to bloody Quinn from Blade. Just
Yeah, it's like Quinn from Blade, Spider-Man 1, and signed by Willem and King Kong. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's this beautifully painted portrait of King Kong on the roof. It doesn't look like the Empire State Building. Oh, maybe it is the Empire State Building. No, because you can see it in the background. So he's on some other building.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know.
And it's this beautiful golden font of like King Kong, and you see the planes attacking him. And he doesn't look like the Kong in the movie. He actually looks like an actual gorilla. Like,
yep.
And it's
And
just, it's just, and his teeth are like ferociously parted. It's if you would ever Google a poster from episodes, please look at the original King Kong poster because it's beautiful.
Something special. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah.
Wow, what a poster! Well done.
Yeah, what a poster. Well done. Probably the best poster we've reviewed. So hey, King Kong, congratulations.
Well done.
Round of applause.
Title
let's
talk.
talk about its title. Yeah. King Kong. Was King Kong in this film?
He was actually. I mean, a bit. He was very delayed in this film, you know. We hear about him a lot. I love the setup for him as well. It's like when they're having that meeting, it's like, have you heard of Kong? It's like, oh, here he's a spirit. Like, you know, like good setup.
Yeah.
Good setup. But yeah, it's punchy, it's sharp. It's that classic thing where you name it after its leading character. So yeah, 100%.
Totally.
I wouldn't change it. By the way, it's better than the most recent one, which was called King Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, screw that noise. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So that all of that being said, Nathan, I feel like we should pass the power to the people. Let's pass the power to the people. The power.
Pass it to the people. Okie dokie. Yeah. So on Rotten Tomatoes, King Kong, 1933. On the tomato meter, it sits at 98%, Brenton. Oh, that is a fresh tomato. You could just bite right into that. Oh,
that's ripe.
Very fresh. And the audience, they gave it 86%. So universally, Brenton, people like King Kong. They like this movie. I think it's probably the highest rated out of all of them, actually.
Emmanuel Levy liked this movie from EmmanuelLevy.com. He said, one of the best adventure horror films ever made. An icon of pop culture with truly erotic and emotionally touching scenes between Fay Ray and the massive gorilla.
Would you use the adjective erotic between the two of them?
No, not with those facial expressions.
Oh my God.
Lust, maybe, but you know.
Yeah, confused, bewildered, terrified. All those apply. Truly erotic and emotionally touching. I don't think so. Charles Cassidy from Common Sense Media, he liked it, and he said, a violent but beloved old school monster movie. Yeah,
it is.
It is, pretty much.
It is.
Pretty much nails on the head.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, beloved indeed.
Mark Bourne from DVDjournal.com. King Kong died for our sins. It's a t-shirt seen recently in Seattle, worn by a teenager and illustrated with the original vintage image of the monster ape atop the Empire State Building.
Did he die for our sins, Brenton?
What the fuck? Like, why is them? What is what?
So there's a t-shirt this reviewer saw where it says in it King Kong died for our sins, and it's just got the original poster on it. I don't think this is a Jesus metaphor. I don't see that allegory in this character, Brenton.
I don't even think that's worth dwelling on. I mean, okay.
An anonymous reviewer gave it 5 stars and wrote, this movie is older than World War II. Not for me. But he gave it 5 stars.
Well, maybe it's because this person can see the merit in this film, but just understands that it's not for them. So they're like,
I also want to point out this reviewer that left this review on Rotten Tomatoes. I think his profile picture is a shoe, like a top-down photo of a shoe.
It's like a sneaker.
I love it. I love it so much.
Chris S gave this film 4 stars, and actually, wrote something. It says a really fun movie. Of course, the special effects look very cheesy, and you can laugh at them now. But I'm sure it shocked it shocked audiences when it was first released. It still remains an important addition in classic cinema history. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, Chris S.
And you didn't.
I mean, yeah.
No, Chris is right. There's the banter. But no, I can imagine it at the time in 1933. I would have lost my shit. Like, if I never grew up with Marvel movies and Harry Potter and all that kind of stuff, like, this would have been... Yeah. Do you kind of wish you saw this movie as a kid, like, in this iteration?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Probably. I don't know. Probably holding out for their Minecraft movie rather than bloody King Kong, am I right?
Can't wait.
JB gave it 2 stars and said, enjoyable and groundbreaking, but it certainly hasn't aged well. I mean, he's right.
You're onto something. He's right there, yeah.
But, like, you can still have fun with this. You can still have a lot of fun with this. Yeah, you can have fun. Not like in a so bad it's good kind of way. Oh, actually, maybe a little bit of that, but, like, you can get invested. You can get invested in the story.
ST Centerprise gives this film 2.5 stars and says, personally, I thought that this film started out slow and boring. The story and how it is told is crude.
Screwed, I think.
Or crude. I think it might be crude.
Oh yeah, crude. Yeah, C-R-U-D-E. All right.
It's crude, yeah. The crew is obsessed with killing anything not human or like them. They shoot dinosaurs for no reason.
It's very true. Like, imagine if, like, this happened in real life, and, like, because the dinosaur starts off peaceful, just eating some plant before, like, it starts attacking them. Like, imagine in real life if you went on this expedition, if you saw a real life dinosaur that for some reason survived till this long, you would not start shooting at it. Even if it was aggressive, you would not start shooting at it, because of how valuable this creature would be,
Dude, if a fucking dinosaur was bearing down on me and was going to kill me, I would shoot the fucking shit out of it. Like... Come on, like, I would not be worried about historical preservation when a Tyrannosaurus Rex is chasing my ass down.
Okay, maybe not the T-Rex, but the Stegosaurus was just eating a plant. Like, you keep that.
Yeah, like, in this context, yes, I agree. But you just said that if a dinosaur, like, even if it was being aggressive, you wouldn't shoot it. So you just let it kill you?
Okay, fine. No, okay, yeah. We reviewed Jurassic Park. I support dinosaur massacres any day of the week. But, like...
That's any day of the week. Especially Tuesday, my favourite time.
Oh, finally. You know what time it is for. But, like, could you imagine? Also, like, imagine if this really happened. If right now, in New York, they suddenly announced we've captured this giant gorilla from this, like, weird undiscovered island. Like, and people decided, like, what do you think in real life, if they found this King Kong creature, they would just want to display it on, like, this Broadway show? Like, imagine you went to Broadway and they had, like, the Book of Mormon, Hamilton, the King Kong gorilla. like, it's a bad idea, isn't it?
Well, fun fact, I think it's currently on Broadway that the musical King Kong is actually playing.
Is it really? Of course they made it into a musical. Of course
Let's book tickets. Let's book tickets.
Oh,
Let's
Brenton,
go.
We're going right now, and we're going to review King Kong the musical. If it doesn't have a nod to the song Dr. Zaius from the Simpsons episode, I'm going to walk out, Brenton.
Steamboat Willie says, when Jaws dies, nobody cries. But when Kong dies, everybody cries. Dino De Laurentiis.
I mean, the famous director Dino De Laurentiis has got a very good point. Like, yeah, imagine if, like, Jaws, like, had the same fate. For some reason, it's like Sharknado and he just falls off the Empire State Building.
I mean, he's got a point. It's like giving sympathy to something that's so, like, to a villain that's so horrible or something, so that it gives it, like, some human element that you can, possibly relate to, I guess. But at the same time, I still get a kick of fucking Jaws dying. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love it. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
Oh. And last of the reviews, Tito835 wrote on YouTube, Kong's reaction on being shot at is me stepping on a Lego. Which is not wrong. Could you reveal, like, he just, like, climbs up, like, the building, it's revealed there's a giant Lego brick that's just, like, stuck under his leg, like.
Yeah, and then you just flail your arms around, like, hit a few things, like, knock down a few glasses, aka planes, and then you just end up falling on your ass. What feels like an eternity, you fall on your ass, and you go,
Mate, I sympathize with King Kong.
King Kong might be the most relatable character in cinematic history.
He really is, you know. We've all been
right?
King Kong.
Am I right? Abducting blonde white women and
who
taking them on
hasn't done
adventures
that,
and killing Tyrannosaurus Rexes, even though they're being aggressive, you know?
That's another thing. Like, you know, we introduced like way back that segment. Is it worth the remake?
Yeah.
I feel like we should bring that back. Was this worth the remake? You know, have you seen the new iterations, like King Kong, the new one?
I haven't seen Skull Island because I don't want to waste my time. But
I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Shade Throne. I enjoy Peter Jackson's remake. I think it's a bit too long and has pacing issues.
Which is just Peter Jackson in general.
I actually like the King Kong remake. I think it's a good time.
But that's all been the first time you would have seen that story, right?
The first time I'd seen it.
Yeah. Well, you heard that King Kong story, like.
No, I remember reading this like picture book that was like based on this version.
Please tell me the picture book had the same stills from this movie.
It had stills from this movie, yeah.
Did it really?
And I loved that book, so I knew the story going into it. And again, I watched King Kong the remake when I was very young, Nathan.
Oh my goodness.
And it scared the shit out of me. Like, absolutely. There's two scenes that got me.
Like,
no. It wasn't the T-Rex. The T-Rex is fine. Those two scenes. One, when they see the natives for the first time, because the natives are way scarier in Peter Jackson's version. And it's pretty full on, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And then the other one was when they fall into the insect pit in the remake.
Yeah.
Because
that wasn't in the original King Kong.
It's all right, like I can handle it until Andy Serkis's character starts getting eaten alive by giant leeches. And that one gets him by the legs, both legs. They get him by the arm, and he's trying to hack at them with a machete. Can't get him, and that one comes up behind him and like sucks his fucking head into its mouth. And then we just get a wide shot as we pan away from that horrific image. And I watched that as a kid and went,
no more for me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah.
Was that one that your father made you watch, or did you just have it happen to see it?
Yeah, it was.
Your bloody dad, I swear to God, like he's been called out on this podcast many a time. Like
World's best dad. I know.
World's best dad. Oh, please don't make your children watch this. Evidently, given Brenton's reaction.
But yeah, that's King Kong.
That's King Kong. What a time.
Yeah, the 1930s. Yeah. What a time.
Well, I'm glad we did a film from the 1930s. You know what? I was expecting it to be shittier. Going in, I really expected this to be shittier.
But I did too. But I was pleasantly surprised, I got to say. Yeah.
So there you go. The lesson learned: just have very low expectations, and then just see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah. Go with the flow.
Go with the flow, I say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh no, Brenton, did you see that outside the window?
What? What is it?
Brenton, it's got me by the...
Oh.
Brenton, I've been dangling... How did the monkey get...
Hi, King Kong. How you going? Oh, you're picking me up as well? Oh, I think he likes me, Nathan. I think he likes me.
Brenton, I'm slipping out of his...
Oh, love you, Kongy. You're a great guy. Oh, he's a pat.